All right, what up, y'all? Happy New Year. I hope you guys are doing well so far. So, I originally wanted to start this year off with the 2024 metal tag that the guys from Heavy Metallurgy started the questions for, but I haven't finished writing up my answers to the questions, being like what I wanted to do. I haven't gotten a chance to sit here and really look at everything and be like, this, and this will be a good one for that. So, I will be working on that here for the next week, I would say, and, but we're going to start the collection videos off right this year with a good old-fashioned collection update. So, all this stuff I got from Volta Records and Half Price Books over in Greenfield, Wisconsin. My wife and I went over and met Joe from Joe's Metal Man Cave, and we went record shopping, went out and got some lunch. It was a good old time, and I finally got through all this stuff, listening to all of it to a point where I feel like I could really discuss them. And as you could probably tell, I'm already pretty chatty today, so I'm just going to shut my trap and drink some Fledsburg Dunkel Dark Lager. Look at this beauty. Nostrovia, good old pop, and I'm gonna put it in my Sausage Stein from the town pretty close to where I grew up to. We went to their Sausage Field. They had like a beer and banjo day, so I was like, oh, that sounds like a good old time. And the best beer that they had was like, I don't even remember, like a Leinenkugel or something disappointing like that. And they had one band with a banjo, and it was an old-time Dixieland band. So that was disappointing, but whatever. That's Rovia. Ooh, that is wonderful. It's super bready. They definitely had to have sweetened this with honey, in my estimation, because it definitely tastes like there's honey in it. Man, 4.8 ABV. Doesn't even taste like there's alcohol in it. Delicious. And if you haven't heard these jamming tunes already, we're listening to Disastrous Murmur with Rhapsodies in Red in the background, one of the coolest Austrian death metal records of all time, with possibly the weirdest album cover I could think of, with these peculiar looking cucumber alien men on the front. Something like that. I don't know. Anyway, let's get down to business, because it's been 2.5 minutes and I've accomplished absolutely nothing. First off, we're starting off with one of the greatest bands in Finnish history. This is Ether by Skepticism, 1997 EP. So, I listened to this more than enough times, and it has gotten me super hyped on this kind of stuff, which is really funny to think of, this style getting you excited. But so this is the EP that came out after Stormcrow Fleet. Stormcrow Fleet was 95, and this is 97. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say I feel more inclined to put this on the player than I do Stormcrow Fleet. And that's saying something, because I hold that album in pretty high regards. And this one just kind of, I don't know, man. It really grasped me really well. It feels really well realized. And it's more of like a quick bite as opposed to, the full feature-length Funeral Doom thing of like an hour and 20-minute record. This is 27 minutes, and by the end of the record, I'm like, that's it? That's all I'm getting? Okay. So if, you have an album that ends and you want more of it, I feel like this is a really, really, really good sign. And I think Funeral Doom works really well in an EP format, because I think an hour and 20 minutes is really, really long for an album. And that's hard for me to stomach. You really have to be just going awesome. You just have to be going full speed as far as like songwriting goes, not necessarily fast. I should have phrased that better. But you have to be a band like Agolak or Panopticon and for me to really care to listen to an hour and 20 minute album. That had nothing to do with Skepticism. That was just a minor rant that I just kind of went on. But this is a really great EP, and I think you would benefit greatly from listening to it. Next is an album that I have liked for years and never had a copy of. This is Testament with the album The Ritual. I used to listen to this pretty regularly back in the day. Not my preferred Testament, I can say that for sure, but I do enjoy the album. Songs like Electric Crown are really catchy and fun, kind of thrash traditional metal somewhere in there, more of the slower mid-paced thrash. And it kind of functions as like Testament's answer to the Black Album, which isn't the most flattering thing I think I could say, but all in all, I think it's a pretty cool record. It never feels like it gets cooking. You know, Souls of Black was a pretty mid and slow paced album, which is obviously the one that came right before this. But there's something good about it as far as like it has a bite to it. This one feels like, you know, they might have got punched in the mouth and lost a couple teeth and tried to bite you. I don't know. But nonetheless, it's still got some pretty good moments to it. It's definitely not going to be breaking the top 5 on the Testament discography for me anytime soon, but nonetheless, I think it's really earned its place on the shelf. Next, 2 from one of the most iconic heavy metal bands of all time. It's a good old-fashioned Saxon. Gotta have it in the collection, dude. So this is their debut album, self-titled, from '79, and this is Strong Arm of the Law, which, if I'm remembering my chronologies correctly, is either the 3rd or 4th record, and they're both amazing. So I'm going to talk about the self-titled first. First off, get a load of that. I absolutely love that album cover. It's really, really well done. I would really like to get a t-shirt of that one. Now this one kind of rides a little bit softer, which I would kind of expect from being '79. I also really like the S logo all over this. I think that looks really sharp. This one, I don't think really picks up onto the traditional heavy metal that they would kind of come to with stuff like Strong Arm. This kind of sits more in the in-between stages, you know, the stuff that's like heavy for its day, but it's not heavy comparatively, if you get what I'm saying. You know, it's kind of, I would say that this has more in common with Ted Nugent than it does, you know, Blitzkrieg or Angel Witch or something like that. And that's okay with me because I like that kind of thing. It kind of toes the line between traditional metal and proto-metal, probably leaning a little bit more towards the traditional metal side, but still maintaining a lot of the 70s hard rock sensibilities. While that kind of maintained throughout their discography, I think it shed quite a bit off to get to stuff like Strong Arm of the Law here. This is a much heavier album, I would say. This is more in line with your Denim and Leather era, things like that, which obviously I think Denim and Leather might have came out a year or two after this one. This is '82, and I think that one's '84. Don't quote me on that. I don't really remember. Also like the S's on this one, but I think it looks cooler in the blue and red. But nonetheless, I really like that they're doing that with these reissues. There's something really classy about this, you know. I would like to get a t-shirt like that, but like I barely ever wear white shirts, and no, this is a cream shirt, thank you. But yeah, it's a really, really good stuff, and it comes with some live tracks from the BBC sessions in 1982, as well as some live tracks from 2009, which I'm substantially less interested in. Not to be like that, but I'm not going to lie to you. Next is an amazing black metal album by Blut Nort. This is Hallucinogen, or Hallucinogenic. Hang on. Yeah, Hallucinogen. So, if you guys aren't familiar with Blut Nort, you've probably been sleeping under a rock for the past several decades. And welcome to Earth again, because you need to go into some crazy ethereal atmospheric plane to listen to this guy. First off, get a load of that. It looks like some crazy psychedelic kind of mushrooms looking stuff. But if you look inside these, which kind of look like somewhere between a brain and a morel mushroom, there's a bunch of eyes, which is kind of gross, kind of cool at the same time. I have that thing where I don't like looking at things that have a bunch of holes in it, so I don't want to stare at it for too long. Kind of grosses me out. So this is, if you guys don't know about Blut Nort's thing, they kind of like switch styles all the time. They've gone through many incarnations of like traditional 90s black metal to like industrial black metal, to being atmospheric black metal, to being spacey black metal, to being like progressive and dissonant black metal. And this is more of that kind of psychedelic atmospheric style. I really like the look of it. I think it fits really well. It's really expansive as far as the keyboards go. It's a little trippy, but not like Oranzi Pazuzu trippy. But nonetheless, dude, this is a stellar record. This might be my favorite Blut Nord record in totality because I do like a good amount of it. I have a decent amount of the records. Obviously, it's a huge catalog. It's kind of like, I don't want to say it's like getting into Drawn in the Light because it's not that big, nor is it that the same all the time. But it's a really great record and a really cool discography if you ever feel like deep diving into a band. Next, we have Lugfard, something like that, by Nort. This is a Danish funeral doom band. It's all bass only. You guys have heard me talk about Nort relatively recently. I feel like I just talked about Nort. I think it might have just been in my funeral doom collection video. And I find this record, this is their second record from 2005. I have their first one from 2003. And it's basically like blackened funeral doom. You know, it's kind of like an bass only funeral doom played with like an atmospheric ambient black metal style, more of like a DSBM ambient style with a lot of atmosphere, I should say. I feel like there's a better phrasing for how to say that genre tag. And it's kind of a tough listen, not gonna lie to you, but I think that was because I brought it in the car with me, and this is not a car album. This is like a walk in the snowy wilderness or like in the dark woods kind of album for you, because it's really immersive. I know it kind of reminds me a bit of Abruptum style-wise. So if that's kind of your thing, if you like really expansive soundscapes that have a lot of dead space in them, check out this Nort record. I think you might get a kick out of it. It's wild. We're going to go to the complete opposite side of metal with some newer thrash. This is Havok with the album Burn. I absolutely love this band. I absolutely love this album. I have been a huge, huge fan of this band for probably creeping up on 10 years now, which isn't that impressive, but it means something to me because, you know, 10 years is a good chunk of my life. And it's just amazing, dude. I haven't owned this, but I've known most of these songs. I've listened to a ton of this back when I was like really into like crossover and thrash, like stuff like that. I've loved both of those genres still, but like there was a point in my life where that was the majority of my listening was thrash. And stuff like Requiem is a really cool opener, but Path to Nowhere is great. Morbid Symmetry, Ivory Tower, Category of the Dead, Afterburner is a really great song. Throw it in the Afterburner. It's such a great riff, dude. David Sanchez is just an absolute monster of a riff writer. And Melting the Mountain's a really cool song. It's kind of shreddy. This album kind of reeks of Testament to an extent. So same thing with Time Is Up, I think. I think Testament was a big influence on those two records in particular. So if you like new thrash that maintains a pretty good old school style while kind of progressing the genre to an extent while still being very much so an obviously 80s influenced thrash style, check out this Havok record. Don't sleep on that. Next, I have two from one of my favorite power metal bands. This is Rhapsody. This is the Holy Thunder Force single. Nothing too crazy here. They have the extended version of Dargor, Shadow Lord of the Black Mountain, and the symphonic and original demo-length version of Rage of War, along with the song Holy Thunder Force. I pretty much just picked this up for the nerd factor of I absolutely love this band. Rhapsody is actually the only flag that I have hung up in my house currently because I have a very small living quarters and, you know, my wife doesn't exactly want my suffocation flag hung up in the living room, which I respect. Really, really cool little piece to just have in the collection. Another great piece of artwork. And the really cool Rhapsody thing that I got is the Dark Secret EP. Yes, that is the one and only Christopher Lee on the front cover. This is possibly the dweebiest thing in my collection at this point, and I love it. It is so cheesy, so corny, and so not coming out of the poly sleeve. Get a load of that. Nice little digipack. You guys know I'm not a big fan of digipacks, but I will make an exception for these good old boys here. And this is great. So this comes with the DVD of the performances and stuff. I've seen the stuff on YouTube before. It's like, you know, them wearing suits, like Fabio is wearing a suit. and like playing with the symphony, and he's standing there with Christopher Lee. Christopher Lee actually sings a little bit on here, and he narrates. If you guys aren't familiar, he is a very capable baritone, almost bass voice in the operatic register, and he's a great addition to this style. And I might partially just be saying that because I'm like a diehard Christopher Lee guy. He's probably my favorite actor of all time. He is just absolutely amazing. Really all around brilliant. Brilliant stuff. Epic, symphonic, power metal in every cliche way you could possibly think of. But you get to be as cliche as you want when you basically wrote the cliche for dweeby, symphonic, sword and shield power metal. Next, another from Mournful Congregation that I've been, kind of just bringing it on. This is the Book of Kings. This is really, really cool. So I don't particularly know what the concept for this album is. Obviously, the Book of Kings makes me think of the Bible, and I don't know if that's what they were going for, but it would be kind of cool to think of how much, screwing up all the kings of Israel did back in the day like that way. I feel like that would make a cool album. But anyway, this is a really great funeral doom, really low and slow, almost classical to a point style in the genre. These guys are pretty much like textbook. You open up the dictionary and look up the definition of funeral doom, and it's pretty much Mournful Congregation to a T. It's really mournful, it's really slow, it's really pretty but somber at the same time, and I feel like it's a really nice contrast with itself. Just all around, really, really well put together funeral doom record. There's not too much I could say because I feel like I've been talking about that band quite a bit lately, because I did show some of their stuff in a recent update, and I don't want to be annoying about it. Next, Deliverance with the self-titled album Deliverance. This is a great thrash band from the United States. Debut full length. And I have their second album, which is one of my favorite thrash records of all time, Weapons of Our Warfare. So good, dude. So basically, these guys ride pretty hard in that Jersey style of thrash, that nuclear assault style, the Anthrax style, the Jersey, New York scene. It's just kind of angry and a little crossovery, and there's usually cleaner sung vocals. It definitely rides into that nuclear assault style, I think, quite a bit. Somewhere like that, and maybe like Spreading the Disease, Anthrax, maybe a little bit of like that band Toxic, if you guys dig on them. I could see some correlations between all those. If you like that kind of speedier thrash metal all around, go get on this. They definitely need to work on the song titles. They're a little boring. Victory, No Time, Deliverance, If You Will, The Call, No Love, Awake. There's like, songs like Blood of the Covenant and Jehovah Jireh, something like that, and Temporary Insanity. Those are the most exciting names for songs on here. So the rest of them they need to work on. Those three are perfectly cool. But yeah, check out some Deliverance. Next, I call this proto metal. It's going to be in the proto metal section when I show that section. It's going to be probably 2 videos. This is Kiss's self-titled. I love Kiss, dude. I've really just really gone all in for this band. Like one of my best friends is a Kiss maniac. He has a rock and roll tattoo over his heart. So he means business. So hanging out with him, he's definitely gotten down to me with a lot of this Kiss stuff. And this whole thing is great. I don't know what my favorite song on here would be. It might be Strutter, but it also might be Deuce. But Black Diamond is also banging. Firehouse, Kissing Time. Anytime is a kissing time in the USA. Dude, so good. It's so catchy. What's not to like about Kiss? If you don't like Kiss, quit taking yourself so serious, dude. Something wrong with you. I'm just kidding. There might be. I don't know. Anyway, Vampire by Cradle of Filth is up next. There might be something wrong with me for saying how much I actually really like this record. I've really grown an appreciation for Cradle of Filth as of late. I used to think they were really corny, but I think that's just because I've had like Damnation in a Day, I think, is the one that I have up top there. And I have Dusk in Her Embrace, I think, as well. And it's just like more of that Dusk in Her Embrace style, which is good because I think it's much better they just really balance the corn well while topping it with a little bit more corn. So they're almost teetering on like, okay, this is a bit much, this is kind of stupid. But I kind of like that about it at the same time. I don't really know. I've this band gets trashed on a lot, and I don't really get it. Never mind. I completely get it, but I don't get it in my own brain. It doesn't like, I don't feel that way about this band. Probably because I wasn't around when this was all coming out, but I think it's a really, really cool, kind of darker, gothic, corny, symphonic-ish, melodic black metal. Danny Filth does some really cool vocals on here. He has probably the most obnoxious scream in all of black metal history, and I kind of like that about him. I really like when he has those death growls that he mixes in there on occasion too. I think it fits really well with the music. It's a nice thing to, you know, kind of switch up the textures a little bit. One complaint I do have about this record is it's probably just a me thing. I mostly just kind of get taken out of it when they start doing the weird interludes of like, you know, synthesizers and like looped women moaning and things like weird stuff like that. It kind of ruins the immersion for me, especially because like it sounds like it would be a movie clip, but you don't have any of the context of the movie because you can't tell what's going on. And this band doesn't have the charm of Mortician where they can play, you know, 25-second song clip and 15 seconds of grinding death metal and it just works. I don't think that fits that well, so that's like my really only complaint that I have about this early Cradle of Filth stuff. I feel like it ruins the immersion a little. Alright, we're going to continue the goth train here with Almost a Dance by The Gathering. So this is their second full-length record from 1999. I really liked the debut quite a bit. I thought that was really well put together. This one didn't sit with me quite as well. It has a similar musical style to that other one, but it's not nearly as doomy. Like you could, musically speaking, it sounds like what I think The Gathering sounds like, but it just really needs to bring that doom style back. Tell me what else in The Gathering besides the debut is still really, really good, because this one didn't quite hit me like I wanted it to. It is a really good all-around record, but there's not a harsh vocal on here, which I find particularly problematic because they really nailed it with those harsh vocals. I feel like if they just layered the harsh vocals back on over this instead of this like whiny single octave sing-songy style that whoever's doing the vocals on this did, I think it would have benefited a lot more, and I think they'd have a lot more like hardcore death metal fans getting into this stuff. I don't know, man. Only got two more left for y'all. And both of these are pretty, you know, entry level. This is Stay Hungry by Twisted Sister. I've been wanting to get this record for a while. I just, like, for whatever reason, never really saw it in the wild. Or else I would have had it for a while by now. And it's a good record. It's basically like the heavier side of glam hair metal. More in your Wasp camp than opposed to your Poison camp or Warrant style. It's just a really, really fun heavy metal record. One thing I do really like about this is how raw it is. It really, really is not super polished for the day. You know, this doesn't sound like Rat. It really sounds like down and dirty, sleazy street rock. It's a good all-around record. Check this out if you haven't, which I'm sure you have. And the last one here I have is Turbo by Judas Priest. This is one of the most hated records, I think, in this band's catalog, and I vaguely see it as being due, because it is not the greatest record. This jewel case is jacked. I need to get a new one. I just need to buy like 100 blank jewel cases and start replacing them, because I have a bunch of broken ones. But it's fine, I guess. It's kind of corny. It's a little too AOR for my taste to an extent. I think I need to spend more time with it, and I need to be in that mindset, because, like, if I'm not in the mindset for something that cheesy, it doesn't irritate me, it just doesn't work for me, if that makes any sense. The guitar synth is not that well executed either. I liked how they did it on Ram It Down, which I know is kind of a hot take in the metal community. I don't think it was bad on that. It wasn't great, but by no means was it amazing. It wasn't Seventh Son of the Seventh Son or anything like that. But, like, there was things left to be desired as far as this record goes. So that's going to be it for this update. I hope you guys enjoyed the first update of the year here. I got a good handful more still. I have a Christmas update to do. I have a bind room box to show. I have a vinyl update to show, a cassette update, and a miscellaneous CDs update. And I gotta finish off all of the collection videos. So we're gonna be busy here for a while. I'll catch y'all later. Keep it greasy.